Typhoid Mary Asks $50,000 from City. From the New York Times, dated December 3, 1911. Typhoid Mary asks $50,000 from City. Not a germ carrier and never had a contagious disease, she says. Her lawyer to file suit. Her standing as a cook has been injured by her 3 years' imprisonment as a public danger. Typhoid Mary, the cook who came by that nickname because of the cases of typhoid fever that seemed to follow her around from family to family, is about to sue the city and its health department for $50,000 damages for keeping her in confinement on North Brother Island for 3 years. Papers will be served within the next few days on Dr. Letterly, head of the health department, and 4 physicians, Dr. Darlington, Dr. Soper, Dr. Park, and Dr. Westmoreland. Mary Mallon is the name on the complaint. She is 40 years old and says she has never had typhoid fever or any other dangerous disease. She was released from the hospital last February, and since that time she has been unable to follow her trade of cooking, and her chances of making a living have been greatly reduced, she asserts. She will attempt to show that she was not the typhoid germ carrier the city authorities have made her out. The lawyer who will prosecute Mary's case against the city is the same one who appeared for her before the Supreme Court in 1909, when her freedom was denied. He is George Francis O'Neill of 5 Beekman Street, and he is a specialist in medico-legal questions. "If the Board of Health," he said yesterday, "is going to send every cook to jail who happens to come under their designation of germ carrier, it won't be long before we have no cooks left, and the domestic problem will be further complicated. What would the poor jokesmith do then for his stories about the cook who rules the house?" The story of Typhoid Mary has been made the subject of a pamphlet by Dr. George A. Soper, who is mentioned in the complaint. The case goes back to 1906, when an alarming spread of typhoid fever was experienced at Oyster Bay. 6 out of a family of 11 had been stricken with typhoid. The water of the well was naturally first suspected, and it was made the subject of a careful analysis. Nothing was wrong with the water. Dr. Soper examined the food supply of the family, but here again he found nothing out of the way. He began to look for some peculiar situation, and focused his suspicions on the fact that the family had changed cooks about 3 weeks before the fever began. Dr. Soper then began to investigate the record of Mary Mallon. He found that in 1904 she had been employed at the home of Henry Gilsey at Sands Point, Long Island. The family had 11 persons in it, of whom 7 were servants. Within a month 4 of the servants were taken with typhoid. In 1902 Mary was the cook for J. Coleman Drayton at Dark Harbor, Maine. 7 persons out of 9 were taken ill within a short time. 3 other instances are set forth where the fever followed within a short period after the employment of the cook. In all he laid at her door 26 cases of typhoid, and he added that he had traced but fragments of her history during 10 years. The physicians of the health department have never been able to discover that Mary herself ever had typhoid. She is described as a robust woman and weighing about 190 pounds. The doctor suggested that she undergo an operation. To this she would not submit. In fact, she always insisted that she never gave typhoid to anybody, but that the water was at fault. The case was adjudged one for confinement in March 1907, and Mary, after a contest of physical strength with 5 policemen, was taken to North Brother Island. In 1909 she was before the Supreme Court on a writ of habeas corpus. Judge Geigerick sent her back to the hospital expressing sympathy for the woman, but insisting that she was a menace to the community. At the time of her release, Dr. Letterly made a statement to the effect that Mary had been shut up long enough to learn precautions. She promised the department that she would not again take a place as a cook. End of article.